The 12th of March 2014, 12 a.m. Indianapolis, Indiana. They have shown me how to build a gravity drive motor. They put it in my head years ago, and sad when the time is right, you know how to build it, and now I have not the means of the money to build it, but it is very simple the way works. It's so simple they don't want everybody to know. I would like to talk to someone that don't think that I'm crazy or nuts.
The 26th of March 2014, 10:30 p.m. I was heading east-northeast on Highway 67 in Oaklandon. I had just left a restaurant after celebrating my godfather's birthday. The road curves north for a brief moment, and I noticed 3 really bright lights in a triangular pattern to my northeast. I thought, it's just a plane, but that's really low. I start looking at it more and more as I got closer, and as the road bends back to the northeast, I was able to see several more, smaller lights, but not of any color, and no red or green lights signaling any sort of wing, around the 3 large lights, which I could then tell were pulsating. I couldn't make out any sort of lines that would give off the shape of the object. I came to the stoplight between McCordsville and Oaklandon. It was red, so I turned the heater and radio off and rolled down my window to see if I could hear anything. By this point, the object was slightly behind and to the left of me. It couldn't have been more than a few hundred feet away from me, but it was absolutely silent. I know planes do not hover, and I know helicopters are audible from the distance I was from this object.
The 29th of March 2014, 10:21 p.m. Indianapolis, Indiana. I was driving home westbound on I-70 passing near the airport when I noticed something in the sky. I was with my 17 and 12-year-old daughters, were very near the airport, but this wasn't an airplane. As we got closer to it, I asked one of my daughters, "What is that?" It was a V-shaped object in the sky, but it wasn't moving. It had lights on it around the point of the V or at the point. I was actually severely lacking sleep at the time, so I kept asking my daughter, "What is that?" She kept saying she didn't know. The only reason we could see it aside from the lights on the object was because the object was darker in color than the sky. The lights were not beaming, they were just on. I picked up my phone and called my husband and asked him how fast an airplane had to go in order to maintain any altitude in the sky because this wasn't moving. My other daughter then said she saw a plane. It was moving. When I got off the phone with my husband, I kept asking my daughters what that was. My 12-year-old kept saying she didn't know, but that she knew for sure the one thing was an airplane. I said, "Then what was the other thing?" She said, "I don't know." So I said, "When I was on the phone, you know for a fact that the one thing was an airplane?" She said, "Yes." I said, "Then what was the other thing?" She said, "I don't know." The lights I saw were also round in shape. I do not recall how many lights there were. I also cannot remember exactly what direction the object was in the sky. I know it was not up and down, but could have been horizontal, but somehow I could see the lights and feel like they were on the bottom or underside of the object. I pulled up some pictures tonight and had my 17-year-old look at them because I saw something that looked very similar to what I'd seen. I asked her to look at the pictures and she pointed out exactly what I thought looked like what we'd seen. When I tried to get my 12-year-old to look, she refused and ran out of the room and avoids anything and everything to do with this. I don't know why. Because I was so tired, I didn't do what I would have done had I been thinking clearly, and that would have been to pull over on the interstate and take pictures. It wasn't that busy on the road, and I'd have watched it. I hope it happens again, but what I'd really like to know is if anyone else has reported it.
The 1st of May 2014, 12 a.m. Indianapolis, Indiana. I was laying in my bed when I heard what sounding like to be an airplane passing over. I looked out the window and saw a few dozen white lights clustered together to form 2 circles with one red light in front forming a triangle. It looked like there was some sort of structure formed around the lights, but the lights were so bright it was hard to tell. It was there and gone in a matter of seconds. About 5 minutes later I heard sirens come and go for about 20 minutes.
The 2nd of May 2014, 10:15 p.m. A coworker was giving me a ride home. Above Geist, I noticed 3 bright lights in a triangle formation in the sky. Mind you, it is cloudy out, no stars and no moon. So I pointed out to my co-work, who proceeded to say, "What the F is that?" I say, "I don't know, but that's not an airplane." As we are slowly driving forward, then we see 2 more lights side by side following behind. One would speed up, then slow down. Then another and another light all fly in a speed I don't normally associate with any type of plane. And I know planes, my partner is an aircraft mechanic, inspector. Anyway, my friend turned onto the main road, at which time the lights kept coming. Some would follow the others for a distance, then shoot off in another direction, while some would seem disappear in their very spot. He and I were discussing what it could be, and all I could keep saying is, this isn't right, this just isn't right. He's freaked out, but we keep driving until we reach a roundabout, at which time we turn north and pull over. We sit there and watch 1, 2, a pair, 1, 1, and so on. We sat there for at least 10 minutes. They just kept coming, but my friend started stressing and kept saying, "I've got to turn around now." And I kept saying, "Just wait a minute," but he turned around, headed back to roundabout, at which time we could still see some coming as we turned right for about 2 minutes until trees disrupted our view as he was driving. I think I was much more excited than my friend. I think it scared him a lot. By the way, there was other people driving, so maybe they saw something too.
The 24th of May 2014, 10:05 p.m. Indianapolis, Indiana. I was looking at stars and seen a red orb coming towards me, and as soon as I started watching it was coming closer, then I pointed my camera at it. It took off at a very fast rate of speed, then blinked a couple times and disappeared.
I was in my apartment on June 20th, 2014 at 0:25. I got up to close the window. I noticed about 5 lights traveling pretty much in a straight line, and close together, at about the same speed, fly over my apartment building. Since they were so close together, I knew they were not airplanes. When I noticed the first 5 lights, they were already on top of me. I only saw them for a few seconds before they flew over my building. When looked back at the south horizon, and since I live on the 7th floor, I can see a long way. I saw 3 more lights. 1 in front, 2 behind, side by side, flying on the same line as the 5 others. I watched for about 30 seconds, until they also flew over my building. When I looked back at the horizon, I saw 1 more light. It traveled on the same line as the others. I watched it for about 30 seconds before it too flew over my building. I don't know what they were. If I had to guess, I'd say some kind of drone. Took me forever to get to sleep last night.
The 25th of June 2014, 10:30 p.m. Indianapolis, Indiana. I came home late one evening after a work shift and wanted to relax outside. On occasion, I have noticed this particular phenomenon of a bright object moving at a usually controlled speed, soundless, following a path or orbit. My attention, this time however, was drawn by the fact that there were at least 2 different ones, with different directions, and a slight difference in behavior between the 2 that I became aware of. One of the objects traveled to a basically southeastern direction. The second object traveled from the southeast, then altered its direction and speed, hurtling toward me but overhead, and much faster, as I ran to my car for binoculars. Astonishingly, it stopped moving and just hung in the sky for about 20 minutes as I attempted to look through the binoculars. I saw an object that seemed to have a cylindrical flame inside of a dark-edged shrouded object, almost like a hot air balloon, but with distinctly different characteristics. This flame was shaped like an old power line transformer and never fluctuated or changed intensity. The object the flame was contained within reminded me of the appearance of a lunar eclipse. This object, after this encounter, lifted itself, disappearing into a single cloud, and then the cloud disappeared. By the way, I know what satellites and the space station, etc. look like, and in different light, at different times of the day and evening, and the velocity and orbital patterns, and this does not match up to anything. Also, as usual, there are 1 or 2 helicopters that seem to come rapidly from somewhere, shortly after this event. On this particular evening, it was too dark to spot the physical attributes of the helicopters, but I often see these as dark, possibly black. I became afraid after this point and went inside, vowing not to check nightly. Also, this is in relative proximity to the railroad yards, major airport, and military bases.